Good morning. I'm Karen Atley, the Director of Consumer Credit Counseling in Waterloo, Iowa. And I have with me Kathy Gaines this morning. Kathy is a branch manager at Consumer Credit Counseling in Mason City. Consumer Credit is a money management organization. We're here to help you with all your money questions. Money is the one thing that they say makes the world go round. At times it makes us just all kind of dizzy, but we all need help figuring out how to make what we have work for us. You can be very wealthy and yet be very poor at the same time. If you do not know what to do with your money, you're going to be lost. If you have a small amount of money but you know what to do with it, you're literally going to be one of the best off persons in the world. You may not know it, but you are. So what your money does for you, what it means to you, is very important. And that gets to the goals we set. If you don't set goals with your money, if you don't make plans, you really get nowhere. You're like that mouse in a cage. You just go round and round, paycheck after paycheck, seeing nothing, and maybe you may even feel depressed. So the way to get around that is to sit down with your loved ones, your spouse or your significant other, your teenage children, and decide what goals you want in your life. What things do you want accomplished? 6 months, a year, long term. Maybe you want to sometime own your own house. Put that on your list. Maybe you would like to make a major trip. You want to go to Nevada or New York or Mississippi or Florida. Put that on your list. That's a go-between. And then build towards it. If you want to save the money for that, think of not going to Starbucks or not getting an extra pair of jeans or something like that, and then taking that money and putting it towards that savings. Kathy, are there other things you would suggest?
I would also look at those small things, as Karen mentioned. The little things that you do. Take $5 a week, if that's all you feel you can afford, and put that money aside into a container. Myself, I keep all my change in a jar. I spent the $5 at Christmas time to buy one of those jars that keeps track, and as you put the quarters and the dimes and the nickels in, it adds up. And it was really surprising around Christmas time last year that I had $94 in that jar, and I was very surprised, and that helped out a lot. I know some people who keep dollar bills. I have one of the counselors in my office keeps the new $5 bills, and she just saves them. And she has, once a year, she has money to spend it for a goal that she's put. So that's very helpful.
I have never felt that you spend money 5 or 10 at a time, but it's always 20. We get money in those denominations, and I truly believe once you break that 20, you might just as well get rid of the rest, because it's going to be gone and you can't tell me where you spent it. It's 5 here, 2 here, 3 there, and all of a sudden you're into another 20. So if you take the small change, the dollar bills, the fives, and the change, and put them away each day, you're literally building for your future. And you have to know where you're putting it and be consistent with where it is. So doing little things does make a difference. And then when we go shopping, don't go shopping just to shop. And they say don't go shopping with another shopper. Because if you're like me, you get in a store and you can quickly see things you know you need. And if you buy them and you don't really need them, in my house, I'll find them in a bag 2-3 months later. Well, the money's gone, the bag's here, now what did I get these things for? So we need to be careful. When we shop, know what you're going to shop for, buy it, and let that be it.
A list is also very important if you're going to be going to the grocery store. It's hard to make a list, but if you have something on your refrigerator with just, I need this and this, if you're into the last jar, bottle, container, then that could be something to go on your list for this week. But if you still have half of a jar or bottle, you put it on next week's list. A lot of people like to buy in bulk, and we all like those discounts for doing that. But if you do the bulk, first off, do you have room for it? Do you really have the money for it? Did it really save you any money? But looking at those things, plan ahead. Don't spend the money until you are, halfway through or you've opened the last one.
Yes, and what I like to do before I go grocery shopping is I like to open my cabinet and see what I have in there. I have some things in there that I don't know why I bought. Now, undoubtedly, I was watching a Food Network program and I saw something on there I really liked to try. Bought it. I don't know what it was, but one of these days I'll have to experiment and figure it out. But you should look and make sure that the things you're getting are things you're going to use in like a week, so that your groceries aren't sitting on your shelf. You can't solve any emergency with a can of peas or potatoes, but money you could solve an emergency with.
Another area that I've run into in my household is both my husband and I do some of the grocery shopping, and if one of us doesn't have that list, the other one may go ahead and, oh, I know we need this, and the same day, we've both gone to the store and we have duplicates. I have about 8 pounds of coffee in my house right now. And those things happen, but you need to communicate with the other person who's going to be going to the store.
Yes. And in my house, my husband is free to buy pop and beer and potato chips. But stay away from the regular groceries, because he may very well buy some things that I don't know what to do with and just make the matter worse. Likewise, I don't want to buy the wrong pop or the wrong liquor or beer or whatever he wants. He gets his drinks, I take care of the food. So there's plans. And the other thing is, how do you pay for it? Do you use cash for everything? Checks? It's nice to have a system. So if you do grocery shopping once a week, have a system for it. If you do it by check, you'll know you spend X number of dollars. Believe me, if you do it by cash, you'll probably never know what you spend, unless you keep those receipts in a certain place. Some of the schools ask for heavy receipts. Well, that's fine. You can keep them all together and hand them in that way. But you really need to know how much you're spending on food. I have one credit card that I strictly use for food. And that helps, because then when that credit card is being used, I know everything I bought in that store related to food. And when the bill comes in, I can see what it is. So if I was using a combination of checks and credit card and cash, I really wouldn't know. Now, those of you who have EBT cards, you know exactly what you're spending on food as far as the food part. You still have the dry products, which are, that's going to be either by cash or by check. And some stores have less expensive dry products. That's something you shouldn't have to buy every week. You should be able to look at that as a once a month, once every 2 month deal, and then you can get some pretty good buys. Sometimes different stores will have a Dollar General or Aldi's or Walmart will have specials on those paper products. Money orders. Many people use money orders for rent and things like that, but not really for food or for gas. And the gas is going to be normally cash. So those are the kind of things. So when you set your budget, when you go to look at your budget, if you have traced it, you can see how much money you're truly spending. When I first opened the office in Mason City, I had visited with a family of 5, 3 teenagers and the parents. The lady was unemployed, the husband was working. And we went through a budget, and then I asked him to trace it. In other words, keep track for a month of what you spent on food, gas, those kind of, I always call them the lost money, because believe me, it is those sort of things, the eating out, that's where you lose so much money. They did that. So I had the budget that we set it to begin with, and then a month later they came in with the actuals. So I asked him, I said, how did you do with food? Is it 500 that you're spending? And she said, oh no, it's over 700. She said, I know one thing, the fast food places are stopping. I'm not going to order the bulk that I thought was such a big savings. Now I'm finding I just spend a lot of our money. And I said, well, but if you're buying things that you're going to make from scratch, what are you going to do if you get your job? And her husband piped up, that's where I'm going to help. She's teaching me how to cook. So it literally was marriage enrichment when you learn to help one another and save money at the same time. So as you look at saving on the short side with the cash items that you have, you also need to look at a bank. Where do you bank? Credit union or bank? Are you comfortable with it? Many people say they don't bank because the bank makes too many mistakes. Well, there are mistakes all over. But you want to feel comfortable where you bank. You should know the personnel. You should have a good relationship with them. You shouldn't be suffering from overdrafts. If you have the opportunity, learn how to do the electronic banking. It can save you many an overdraft. Just being able to pop onto it on the internet at midnight and see where your account stands, and you know what checks are coming in yet, that can keep you in good stead. You should make sure, if you're using a debit card, make sure you don't have your PIN number with your card. That needs to be protected because you need to protect your identity. We're coming across Protect Your Identity Week, and at that time there will be credit union and a couple of other places that will have shredders available for you to get rid of personal information that could be such a danger. So it's always good to, and that's a situation where less is best. If you don't have personal information around to be found by others, that's much better than having too much available. Sometimes people say, I don't have the money to save. I don't make enough. Well, we already talked about how you can save money with the small amounts, but larger amounts. One of the best ways to save larger amounts of money is to put it into an account and forget about it. Just make sure it's not charging you monthly a fee. Forget it's even there. Then put more money in it later. Then sometime when you need the money, take a look at it. But then once you've taken a look at it, start figuring out how else you could get the money so it stays there. At Consumer Credit, we have a number of educational books. Money in Motion, which is a wonderful book that takes you step by step through it, helping you to set a budget, giving you some of the information that you need. We also have some books from USA Today on the Busy Families Guide and Journey to Wealth and Wisdom. If you don't look at your finances, you don't study it through, make a budget, checking it off, making sure you're following through, guess what? You won't follow through. Because you'll be like that proverbial mouse, back in your cage, back doing very little as far as reaching goals. Now this is a call-in show, so if you have a question you'd like to direct us a way that we can answer the question for you, it's all about money. So give us a call and we can see what we can do for you. So let's talk for a minute about loans. How do you get loans? First of all, you need to have a credit rating in order to do that. Typically, a 18-year-old getting out of high school does not have a credit rating because they have not had anything good or bad. Now, if a credit card had been established, payments were made on it, that would indicate to creditors that they have some sort of credit going. Another question that's frequently asked with a credit report is, how do I improve it? Pay your bills on time. That is the biggest thing. Pay your bills on time and being stable, being in the same location. Many times people think I need to make a lot of money to have a good credit report. No, that is not what creates a good credit report. It's paying your bills. So if you had a 6-figure income and 20 credit cards and most of them are in good shape, your credit is probably going to be lower than somebody who's making $1,000 a month but pay their bills every month. It's undoubtedly going to be lower. And yet, when it comes to laying out cash for something, the person who's lower income doesn't have near the money to do it. The person with higher income. We have also found at Consumer Credit that high-income people tend to get a lot of credit cards. And to say 10, 15 credit cards isn't a stretch. Right, Kathy?
That's absolutely right. They seem to think that that's a badge of honor. And, oh, I have these. Here, let me show them to you. But it's what you do with the money and what you do with the credit that's made available to you. It's not something that's given to you because you don't get a card offer because they've looked at everything and they think you're entitled to it because of things going on. It's just an offer. So you don't have to take every offer that comes your way.
Yes. And many of them have different things attached. Miles, cash back. They have different things. But the best advice on how many credit cards is 1 or 2 at the most. If you use them for different things, that helps in selecting how many to have. There are a lot of different ones out there. I like the idea of getting those that support our local companies. Like the credit union has their own, UNI has its own. People get the Chicago Bears because 1% goes to that company. They get the affinity cards. University of Iowa has it, and that's located in Waterloo now too. As well as U.S. Bank and many of the other financial institutions. But once you get a credit card, you want to make sure you know the due dates and that you inform the credit card company when you move. That is so important. People have said, well, I wasn't delinquent on my bill till I moved and then I didn't get a bill. That's no excuse for not paying on time. You still go down as a 30-day delinquent or 60-day delinquent. An individual told me that he was denied the interest rate on a house they wanted to buy on the first because he moved around a lot after he graduated and he didn't get the bill. He didn't consider it anything at all. Not until they went to buy the house and his credit held their interest higher than it should have been. So that in buying a house, that's when those negative things on your credit are really going to hurt because you need to have good credit. And that takes you to another situation with the credit bureau. If you're getting a car loan, they're only concerned with what's happened in the last few years and how many inquiries are on there. But if you're buying a house, they go back to the beginning. They go to find out what's there. Bankruptcy, how many late pays, and on both parties if it's going to be joint tenancy. So they really look it up one side and down the other good to make sure that you are in good shape.
And Karen, they also look at judgments and collections. For any lender that I've dealt with since I've been with the organization, we've found that all lenders require that judgments and collections be completely, the judgment has to be satisfied and collections need to be paid off in order to allow them to close on the loan. So you need to clean those up.
Yes, and I work with Habitat, and when a person comes in there to get a home loan, we always tell them, well, if there are things on the credit, you need to spend your beginning days cleaning these up. If these are not yours, you need to get the dispute letter in. If these are yours, you need to get them taken care of so that we can proceed, because the organization is not going to accept a new homeowner who has already shown that they are willing to allow judgments to be placed. Because if you'll allow them to be placed on yourself, you surely will allow them to be placed on a house that we are helping you to get. So it's very important that the credit be cleaned up. When you look for a house, I mean, first of all, we're looking for a loan, but when you look for a house, look for the location. Get a house in an area that you feel you would be happy with for 20 years. For most of us, you're going to want that. You don't want to buy a house that you feel you can flip in a year or two, or that you can sell, because houses around here aren't really moving quite like that. There are some that are doing pretty good, but they're going to be in pretty nice areas, more expensive areas. I like to own a home in an area and not be moving. Now, there are people who do like a lot of moving. I understand that. Place an offer for the house, but one you're comfortable with. And you need to sit down and talk to a realtor to learn how to make an offer, and he needs to know what you're comfortable with. Just as you should interview a landlord before you rent, you should interview a realtor before you hire them. Because this is a time when you're going to give them personal information. You're asking them to help you do something that's probably the biggest investment of your life. So why are you willing to call a sign or a number in the phone book? You need to be looking at this person, and you need to be getting a good idea that this is somebody who would have your interest in mind, not just his own pocket. Even though we know money it's going to come out of the seller's pocket and go into his. But you want to make sure that he would like you as a client for life, so the next time you're ready for another house, you would want to go talk to him as well. So there are many things that you can do in life in getting car loans. If you go to get a car loan, a friend told me that she found that the best way to get a car loan was by going to her credit union, telling them what she wanted to do. They already knew her credit history. And then they told her what they would give her. So she then went to the car place, the car lot, and she told them this is what she wanted to do. And no, don't bother checking any other financials for me. I got it at my credit union. They sold the car, she got it for what she wanted. There were no more inquiries. It was just plain a good deal for her. So that's something that, and many times if you walk into a car lot, the first thing they'll say is, what do you plan to spend for it? Next question is, how much? Well, this is the monthly payment you can get here. They want to get you hooked into monthly payments. And just as soon as you think that's a good monthly payment, you're just about sold down the river. So make sure it's something that you can afford. Today we are seeing people that are paying anywhere from $500 to $800 for a car. You see about the same thing?
Oh, we're seeing that all the time. You know, one thing you want to remember when you're looking for a vehicle, it's not just the purchase, it's not just the monthly payment. You also need to be looking at what kind of a vehicle it is. What is it going to cost you annually for the tags? What is it going to cost you for insurance? We all know that a red car is going to cost you a whole lot more in insurance than anything else. And a young person, 18 to 25, you're going to have a lot more trouble buying a sports car. So you may end up with a cosigner, and that brings us to a whole other issue when we look at that.
It indeed does. And many people co-sign because they want their children to get it, but it can be so dangerous. A number of years ago, a lady told me she co-signed for her boyfriend because he didn't have the credit to lease a vehicle. He leased it for a weekend and was supposed to have turned it in on Monday morning. She got a call on Wednesday, there was no vehicle yet. When she finally got a hold of it, there was a couple $1,000 damage to the vehicle, plus the extra rental, and that's all on her. So when somebody co-signs, they are just as liable as the person who signed. They're actually more liable, because whoever the lessor is or the owner, they know they can get it out of the co-signer, even if they can't out of the other.
So it shows on both credit reports, both the young person who's getting the vehicle and the person who's co-signing. So if one of them does not pay, they're going to come to you and say, it's your responsibility. And then it's going to be an issue. And if they don't pay well or miss payments, you're going to run into other issues with that.
Yes, the understanding your money, understanding what needs to be done with it is very important. And at Consumer Credit, we try to make it a really top-notch of your day. So if you feel good when you get up and you look at what's going on with your money, that makes us feel good. We would like you to stop over, visit with a counselor. Our office is located at 1003 West 4th Street in Waterloo, the corner of West 4th and Locust. We are open 9 to 5, Monday through Thursday, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you. So go ahead and give us a call when you're ready to talk about your money. We also have education classes at Ridgeway Place, which is the old Covenant. Call the office, 319-234-0661 for the times. That's usually from 6 to 8 in the evening, and it's once every other week. And we present the book, Money in Motion, there. And Money in Motion takes you through all of the phases of your finances. It helps you get a handle on it. It helps you to know what to do if you've fallen deep in debt. We could help a lot more people if they would come in earlier. The problem is usually people try and try and try themselves until they can't see any way out, and then they'll come. And sometimes we have to say, you truly need a lot more income, and we're not able to help them the way we would like to. It's not going to cost you anything to come in for a counseling session. They are free of charge, and we'll sit down with you, a certified counselor will sit down with you and help you figure out what's the best route for you. They will help you establish goals, short-term, long-term goals. They'll help you decide what has to be done in order to make your life happier. Because a happy life is what we all want to have. So once again, Consumer Credit Counseling is located at 1003 West 4th in Waterloo, 319-234-0661. We also have offices in Mason City, Dubuque, Ames, and Des Moines, with a satellite in Forest City. So we're here to help. We're in different locations. You can do it by telephone or in person. So give us a call. Thank you for listening. Bye.